Awesome.
And just nice and good from your chest. Just want to say hello to me?
Hello.
Yeah. Good. That's good. Yeah. So, and you don't have to get right in there. Like where you're sitting is perfectly good.
Okay, good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think everything else is good.
Awesome.
So let's do it.
Awesome.
All right.
Sounds good.
Naturally, I like to start things at the beginning. So why don't you tell me where you were born and what life was like for you growing up?
So I was born in Toronto at the Women's College Hospital.
Okay.
And so we lived downtown Toronto until I was 2. And so, like, I don't really remember living in Toronto at all.
Right.
And then we moved to Ballinafad. So I actually grew up in Ballinafad, which is, like, in between Georgetown and Erin.
Okay.
You've probably driven through it and just didn't notice.
Right, sure.
That's what it is.
Small little pocket,
It's
okay.
kind of like you blink and you miss it. It's a very tiny town.
Yeah.
But that's where I grew up until I was about 13.
Okay.
And then we moved to Orangeville.
Yeah.
And we lived there for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved to Brampton and lived there for 4 years.
Okay.
And then we came back to Georgetown because growing up in Ballinafad, I did like summer camps and stuff in Georgetown. And so Georgetown was familiar to us.
Okay.
And my mom's friends all live in Georgetown. So we were kind of just like, let's go back to Georgetown because we hated Brampton.
Right.
But I went to school there. I
Yeah.
went to high school at Mayfield,
Okay,
which is Brampton / Caledon.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's why we moved to Brampton was because I was going to school in Brampton because I was in the dance program
Okay.
at Mayfield.
Yeah.
And so I like auditioned to get in and stuff. And so once I was going there, and my sister's 3 years older than me, so she was out of high school by the time I was starting high school. Or no, she was at the end. So we moved to Brampton because it was just easier than being in Orangeville, and we also hated Orangeville too.
Right. Lots of moving around. And
Yes,
yeah,
I did move around a lot from the time I was 13 until like 18, 19. And I went to makeup school downtown Toronto.
Yeah.
I went to CMU College.
Okay.
And I was there for 8 months. And so, like, in between, while I was going to school there, we moved from Brampton to Georgetown because I was taking the GO train there every day. So as long as I could get to the GO train, that was...
Still works.
Didn't really matter where we were, realistically, but we didn't want to be in Brampton anymore.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. So you mentioned a sister. Any other siblings growing up? Or?
No, just my sister.
Just your sister.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right on.
And she's 3 years older than me.
3 years older than you.
Yeah.
Okay. Right on. And then you mentioned dance. Did you do any other extracurriculars as a kid, like any sports or anything like that?
No, just dance.
Yeah.
I was on a competitive team in Guelph, actually.
Oh, wow.
Because from Ballinafad, Guelph really wasn't that far.
Right.
So I was on a competitive team in Guelph from the time I think I was 8. But I danced from the time I was 3. And then we moved to Orangeville and I competitively danced there as well, but only for like a year, I think. Because I had a knee injury that made me stop dancing. I was still dancing at school just because it wasn't hard.
Right. Sure.
And it wasn't too bad on my injury. And they were really good with like being okay with my injury and everything. And it was easy to modify stuff in school in just like a recreational class, but it wasn't so easy to modify stuff when you're competitively dancing and you're in groups with a whole bunch of other kids that don't need modifications. So I had to stop competitively dancing even though I didn't really want to.
Oh, yikes.
So I did really enjoy it. I would honestly still be dancing now if I could be, but I can't.
Yikes.
Yeah, I have knee patellar femoral syndrome.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
My knee popped out and back
Yikes.
in
Yeah.
when I was at dance when I think the first time I was maybe 12 or 13. And then the second time I kind of just turned the wrong way and it popped out and back in again.
Right.
And I think the second time was when my doctor was like, no.
Yeah.
No more dance for you.
Yeah. It's just getting worse at that point, eh?
Yeah. It's okay now.
That's awful,
I
yeah.
think because I'm not dancing anymore.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was the
and-
dancing that did it, apparently.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I also have always worked retail jobs where I'm standing for like 8 hours.
Right.
So that didn't help either. But I've been in a job for the past 2 years now where I'm sitting.
Right.
So my knee is actually completely fine now.
Right.
I mean, there's still that fear that it could pop out and back in whenever it wants.
Yeah.
But It's definitely better than it was when I was a teenager. That's for sure.
Oh, that's good. The music's a tricky one. There's a lot going on in there. So, yeah, it's scary when something's going wrong down there. Right? Yeah. So you mentioned going to school for makeup. Did anything come of that? Did you end up working in the field at all, or
no? I kind of just didn't really know what else to do after high school.
Sure, just interested you, I guess.
I knew I wouldn't go to university for anything because I'm just not really a school person. I'm one of those people whose school wasn't really my thing. I'm more of like a common sense thing.
Sure. Yeah.
So like I knew I wasn't going to go to university or college for anything really, and I really had no idea what I wanted to do. I still don't really.
Yeah.
So makeup school was kind of just like, I had my friends tell me that I was good at makeup, and they were like, you should go to makeup school, and that was just kind of my only option because I wasn't able to take a couple years off after high school because my parents wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of just didn't really know what else to do.
Right.
And it didn't end up being my passion like I thought it was, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I also went to makeup school like the year before COVID came around. So it was kind of like I did kind of start getting into the industry, and then everything just kind of went to shit.
Yeah. COVID did a very good job of resetting a lot of people and kind of priorities or what you're going to do, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I kind of stopped doing makeup around that time.
Okay.
And then I just didn't really continue on with it because it just wasn't really that much of an interest to me. Like I thought it was when I started it, and then once I actually went through it, and like I did get a couple of makeup jobs, it just wasn't my thing.
Right.
Like I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. That happens to a lot of people, right? They think they want to do something until they get in there, and whatever. Sometimes it's not for you, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
And then so you mentioned you're working now somewhere. So it's been a couple years now.
Yeah.
That's a little easier on you. So what's that entail? What are you doing these days?
I'm an admin assistant and order fulfillment specialist at a permanent makeup company.
Okay.
So she
still kind of in the field there. Yeah.
A little bit, but the permanent makeup is like, it's honestly nothing like regular makeup because the permanent makeup is tattooing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you're tattooing people's brows, eyeliner, and lips. I don't do it myself. It's a lot of training, and it's expensive training as well. But my boss that I work for, she makes the ink that you use as well as she teaches it. So I just work in her basement at her house because she used to have a big physical location that was like their academy in, I think it was in Mississauga, but I had never been there. Like I started working there when they moved out of it. So I just work in her basement and just fulfill orders on our Shopify website.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
And then a whole bunch of other admin stuff.
Nice. Good enough gig. She treats you well, and yeah. Perfect. That's okay. And then so at some point you've kicked off kind of your own project here. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So I started making candles in, I think it was 2021 I started making them. I honestly can't even remember how I got into it. I just remember buying like one of the starter kits on like Amazon, I think. And I was like, this is easy.
Yeah.
And I like doing it. It's cool.
Yeah.
So I just kept doing it and eventually ended up doing my social media, and I go to markets as well, like vendor markets. I have a few next month and in May and June. So I've only been doing the markets for 2 years now, I think. I think I started doing them in 2023. But they're great. It's fun. They sell pretty well. It really all depends on how many people show up to the market, obviously.
Right, sure.
But I've done pretty well with them, and I really enjoy doing it.
Nice.
It's fun to make candles.
That's great. Hey, that's a huge part of it right there, is finding something you enjoy doing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that very cool.
Yeah.
And you're seeing a bit of success with it as well, and you're that's great, fantastic.
Yeah.
So what does that entail so like the making process and like what kind of candles do you deal with? Like all kinds of, I don't know, scented candles and things like that, or?
Yeah. So I recently started doing unscented just because at the last couple of markets that I've been to, people have asked me if I have unscented, and I just never really thought of that.
Right.
But some people want them because they want to be able to burn a candle, but they may have like allergies to fragrances
Right.
or sensitivities or whatever. So I have started making the unscented, but I started with soy wax, and then I switched to coconut soy, just because it was easier to use. And the website that I buy it from, they're very similar. I think the mix that I use is mostly soy, but the coconut soy wax they're really clean burning. Like for example, if you were to buy a candle from like Bath and Body Works, it's paraffin wax.
Okay.
I know that some of their candles are soy, but I think majority of them are paraffin. And it's like really bad for you, and
really?
to like breathe in, and the like soot is really bad from the paraffin wax. So I wanted to be able to make something that was eco-friendly and sustainable, and because I do care about the environment quite a bit. I'm not like an environmentalist or anything, but I would like it to be eco-friendly.
Sure.
And people be able to burn it and not get sick.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And
that's
be
a
able to
bonus.
breathe it in and it be okay to breathe in. And I try not to make them too fragrant, because I know that that's another thing that Bath and Body Works does is they're like really, really strong.
Yeah.
And I try to make them less strong, because I know that a lot of people are very sensitive to fragrance.
Right.
So I try to make them like medium scented, I guess you could say.
Yeah. You notice it, but it's not punching you in the face kind of thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, no, it's great. So, I mean, we recently, had a kid, and so my wife's actually very big on a lot of things. Like we threw out a whole bunch of stuff that,
sure.
she looks into stuff that's, harmful and not so good that we just didn't think twice of before, right?
Yes.
So that's awesome that you're doing that. So apparently soy is the way to go for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's like apricot soy that I recently learned about, and like you can use coconut by itself, but most of the time it comes in like slabs, and it's just harder to use and more complicated. So I stick with the mixed coconut soy because it's still clean burning and eco-friendly and everything. So yeah, there's lots of different kinds of wax, and beeswax as well.
Okay, yeah.
I've been wanting to experiment with beeswax, but I just haven't yet.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think again, like a very natural way to go. I'm sure it'd be less harmful to people. Like, that'd be very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned all these different waxes and things you can use, and I don't know, you have an easier time with some than others.
Yeah.
Are there any other kind of, I would say, challenges or any like big challenges you've experienced since you've started your business that were kind of unexpected, or anything come to mind?
Mostly like pricing.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out what to charge is probably the hardest thing if you like don't really know about that already. I did have my dad's help. He literally could have been a mathematician, I swear to God. He's so good at math and numbers and stuff like that. But he passed away a couple of years ago.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So since then, that's been probably the biggest struggle, is just like making sure that I'm charging the right thing, and that I'm actually like making a profit.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
And not just selling it for a random price that I am just assuming
Yeah,
that that's
right.
what it would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest challenge, is pricing them.
Right,
And figuring out like how much you paid for it and how much you should be charging. And that's definitely the biggest challenge.
Plus your time that you're putting into it as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, of course, there are a lot of factors to that.
I've joined a lot of Facebook groups for candle making, and that's like the most common question that people ask is like, what should I be charging and how do I figure out what I should be charging?
Right.
It really is the hardest part of making candles, is just pricing.
Right. And then, so how would you say you said you use social media quite a bit. Like, how are you marketing yourself as a company? Like,
I mostly just use Instagram.
Okay.
And then I'm in the Georgetown Talent Cell.
Okay.
And the Acton Talent Cell. And I post my candles on there a lot, and I do get sales from it.
Nice.
And then as well as going to markets is really, really good for like getting myself out there. And a lot of people just take my card and they'll reach out later if they like can't buy anything at that moment. Social media is hard though, especially if you don't do like the paid ads and stuff, but also the paid ads are also hard because you have to pay a certain amount for it to actually reach the amount of people that you want.
Right.
So I've definitely been looking into like learning more about social media and how Instagram really works, because I'm just kind of like, I just figure it out as I go because I'm pretty tech savvy. So I just kind of go along with what I think is right.
Right. Seems to be working okay for you.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah. And just talking with other business owners and stuff like that, like it can be a lot. Like it's almost a full-time job in itself, just figuring out the social media side of it, right? And how you're going to properly market everything.
Yeah. I definitely don't post as often as I should.
Yeah.
But that's because I have a full-time job as well. The candle making isn't my full-time job as much as I would like it to be. It's just doesn't really work that way. It just, I don't make enough money from it for it to be my full-time job.
Right.
Unfortunately. But yeah, I just don't really have the time. I could make the time, but yeah, I should make more time for the social media part, but yeah, it works with what I do.
Yeah.
So
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. All right. Perfect. What would you say is kind of next for, we should also mention, sorry, it's called Wildflower Candles, is the name of the company? Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say is next for Wildflower Candles, and like, where are you looking to go with it? Or is there any kind of expansion or growth you're looking to do?
I would like to be able to do it full time at some point.
Yeah.
And I think that like doing more on social media, since it's such a big thing now, and like that's how so many people get majority of their business nowadays is through social media. I think if I was on it more and like took more time to do more on social media, I probably could make it a full-time job. And like I don't have a website or anything. I sell them on Etsy, but I haven't actually made a sale on Etsy since I've posted them on there. I think I've had them posted on Etsy since I started making them.
Right.
And I don't know if that's another thing that's like you have to figure out the algorithm of like why it's not showing up for people. And because I haven't had one sale on Etsy. All of my sales are through Instagram and at markets.
Right.
And Facebook.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and it could be, I'm sure it could be really hard for anyone to kind of transition if they have a full-time job and are trying to get like a business off the ground.
Yeah.
It is like a lot of work on the front end that, you're going to have to put into that to try to get it going, right?
Yeah. I would like to have, because I just make them in my kitchen at home. I still live at home with my mom, and I make a big mess in the kitchen making my candles.
Yeah. It's dirty work?
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I think I would like to have my own space for it.
Yeah.
But I don't know when that would be able to happen really. Because it's really not my main focus because I have a full-time job.
Right.
But yeah, I would like it to be eventually.
Yeah. Nice.
So that's why I've been doing markets and stuff, because I just want to put myself out there more.
Right. Yeah.
And I kind of do, like I have one in Milton on the 5th, and then I have one in Acton and one in Orangeville. So I've kind of just been like trying to go all over within the surrounding areas of Georgetown so that I can get people to know me more.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to like get out there and shake hands and meet the people. And,
yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah. Just get your face out there. That's fantastic. I think that's the way to go.
Yes.
And where did the name Wildflower come from? Just.
I live on Wildflower Lane.
Oh, okay.
And when we moved there, my mom had seen a medium just before we got the house that we live in. We rent. We don't own. But like we were struggling to find somewhere else to go from Brampton.
Right.
And my mom saw this medium and she said something about wildflowers. And like literally when she came out of the meeting with the medium, she had an email from her realtor for the house on Wildflower Lane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool. That's what I'm going to name my candle business.
Yeah.
Because wildflowers is good luck for us or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something to that, then. Yeah. Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so I said, I mean, you work a full-time job and then also you have this big project. So life outside of it too, like what other kind of things are you doing? Any hobbies or interests, or what's your day-to-day like?
No, not really.
Yeah.
I took a pottery class a few weeks ago at Zen Den Pottery in Acton, and I really enjoyed it.
Yep.
The wheel spinning is really hard.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was a little bit difficult, but it was like a good challenge. So I've done that a bit. But other than that, no. I don't really have any hobbies.
Right.
Candle making is my hobby.
Right.
Realistically.
Really enjoy it.
So,
yeah.
As a teenager, it was dance.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to sing, and I would do singing lessons in Orangeville when we lived there. But it wasn't ever really, I didn't think it was ever going to be a career or anything like that. It was just fun to be able to do the singing lessons and learn more about my voice and stuff. So, yeah, I don't really have very many hobbies.
Right, yeah.
No.
All about the candles right now. That's very cool. I mean, you obviously have a very kind of art side to you, right?
Yes.
Expressions even through dance and singing and you know, making candles and pottery you enjoy too. That's very cool. So so once Wildflower Candles does take off and you're booming, is pottery something like maybe a next venture that you might go into at all, or is it just kind of
maybe
you enjoy doing it on side?
Because I was like originally trying to go into pottery to make my own vessels, like containers for candles. And I did make a few that I was going to make into candles, and I just didn't really end up doing it because I used them for other things. Like we made little cups and bowls and plates, and so I just kind of used them for other stuff. But that was kind of my initial goal in starting the pottery. I just haven't been able to do another class because I just haven't had the time, basically, because they are during the week a lot and like in the evening, which isn't really the greatest time for me. I don't, because I fall asleep pretty early. I'm honestly like an old lady, and I go to sleep at like 9 o'clock at night. So if it's from like 7 till 9, I'm like, I don't really want to go that late.
Right.
So I just haven't really looked into doing another one. But yeah, I would want to probably do more pottery, and I'm going to eventually experiment with concrete vessels.
Okay. Wow.
So you just buy like the molds, and then you use literal concrete. And then I've also heard of jesmonite. I haven't looked too far into it, but it's like a form of concrete.
Okay.
And yeah, you can make your own vessels. And I thought that would be a good addition to what I'm already doing with my candles.
Right.
Because I use a lot of like unique and reused containers. A lot of the containers I use are like Bath and Body Works candle containers that people donate to me.
Right.
Or teacups I do as well. So yeah, I just want to be able to do like sustainable ways, and then also make it original and make it my own and unique in like different from all of the other soy wax candles on the market.
Yeah. Very cool. There's that creative side again, right? Yeah. That's interesting. That's awesome.
I haven't experimented yet because I'm going to have to do it outside, and it's been too cold.
Yeah.
So I've been waiting until it warms up to be able to do it, but I'm getting there. I've bought the molds, I bought the concrete, and I've just been waiting for it to warm up so that I can go in my garage and do it, because you shouldn't work with concrete inside.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah, no, that makes sense. We're on the tail end of March here, so you're almost there. We can start digging into that. Yeah,
exactly.
Very cool. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Is there anything we missed at all? Like anything else you would want to say about Wildflower Candles? Anything else you want to share with anybody? Or
I don't think so.
No. All right. Beautiful. That was great. And then any final thoughts at all? Just anything you might want to say to anybody who might be listening at all?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Then we'll leave it at that.
Awesome.
Jillian, thank you so much.
Yeah,
that was
thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. All right. That's a wrap.
Awesome.